We are done with the transfer pricing provisions now. In this session, we are going to learn other provisions to check avoidance of the tax. Only transfer pricing was not strong enough to control certain types of tax evasion practices adopted by the entities which were located in India. So in this lecture particularly we are going to talk about section 94A. Section 94A particularly talks about transaction entered with plinja, PLINJA, okay, person located in notified jurisdictional area. So what do you mean by notified jurisdictional area? Notified jurisdictional area is the area or a geographical territory, it can be island, it can be a country, which is not sharing tax information with government of India effectively. See, the whole base erosion and profit shifting strategies, the anti-base erosion and profit shifting strategies are based on one assumption that every country is having sufficient information not only of the transactions which are dealt in that country, also in the foreign country which are having a relationship or association with this particular other country. So if NJA, if particular country doesn't share information with India, example Switzerland, you might have heard that many people opens bank account in Switzerland because that is considered as a one of the most and secured or private banks where they don't share the data even with governments. That was the scenario. Now it's not like that. We have threatened the Switzerland that if they don't give us the data of Indians who are having a bank account in Switzerland, then we will declare Switzerland as a person, as a notified jurisdictional area, and any person who is located in Switzerland will become plinja, and if it becomes plinja, then the provisions of section 94A will attract, which are very stringent, my dear friend, and definite scrutiny. If you are doing the transaction with plinja NJA, there will be a definite scrutiny in your case, inquiry in your case. It will happen. It is bound to happen. There is no escape route. They will go in detail why the hell you have done the transaction with person located with notified jurisdictional area. So because of this kind of, and then obviously the many people who would have done the transaction with Switzerland would have not done it, or people who are actually doing it, they would have stopped doing it, and that will hamper the economical benefit of Switzerland. So they had changed the treaty, they have changed the rules, and now they are sharing the data with government of India. And recently, I guess few weeks back only, government of India has received the annual data from Switzerland who are holding bank account there. Before 2015 or I guess 16, Cyprus was one of the notified country. Cyprus was one of the notified country in this particular section. But right now, none of the country or none of the geography is denying to share information, meaning thereby practically we don't have any notified jurisdictional area, but we are having a provision which are threatening to globe that if you don't share the information, we will make you NJA. Okay. So, so what are the provisions here? First of all, it will be treated as deemed to be international transaction. Okay. Secondly, you will be deemed to be associate enterprises. And because it is deemed to be international transaction and deemed to be associate enterprises, a TP provisions will apply and arm's length provisions will apply. When arm's length provisions are applicable, please understand, whatever arm's length provisions are applicable, there are certain relaxations in arm's length provisions, like 3% variation rule is there, range concept is there. All those benefits will not be available, will not be applicable. Relaxation benefit, escape routes will not be applicable when you are doing the transaction with plinja, a person located in notified jurisdictional area. Any payment which is made to that country has to get you have to deduct TDS at minimum rate of 30%. It can be more than 30%, but the minimum rate of TDS has to be 30%. My dear friend, this is again a very horrible provision that you need to have, because there are so many sections in our tax methods, Indian taxation, that we will discuss in NR taxation. 4% tax rate, 5% tax rate, exemptions. We don't give any exemptions, we don't give any concessional rate. Directly it will be deducted. TDS will be deducted at 30% plus applicable surcharge, applicable education cess. So this is another provision. Because this person who is making the payment, if he doesn't follow the TDS provision, then 100% deductions will be disallowed. So many negative provisions we have created. Let us go and understand each provision of section 94A. Introduction to specific anti-avoidance measure in respect of transaction done with person located in notified jurisdictional area. The objective of anti-avoidance measure is to discourage assessee from enter into a transaction with a person located in a country or territory which do not have effective information exchange mechanism with India. The following anti-avoidance measures are introduced. First effect of this transaction: central government empowered to notify such country or territory outside India as a NJA, and once it is notified, having regard to the lack of effective information with that particular country, obviously when central government notify it, then only it will become practical. Right now I am telling you, none of the country is notified by the central government. A transaction where one of the party thereto is a person located in NGA would be deemed to be international transaction. Then all the parties to the transaction will be deemed to be associate enterprises, deemed to be international transaction, deemed to be associate enterprise, and all the provisions of transfer pricing will apply. However, please understand, all provisions of TP will apply, but not concessional provision. The beneficial provisions will not be applicable. The benefit of permissible variation, that is 3% in case of ordinary transaction and 1% in case of wholesale transaction of ALP, and the transfer price provided for the second proviso to the section 92C based on the rate notified by the central government would not be available in case of such transaction. Such transaction may be, what can be the nature of transaction? It can be any type of transaction: purchase, sale, lease, tangible, intangible, property or provision of the service, lending or borrowing, any other transaction having bearing on the profit, income, loss, asset of the assessee. It may include mutual agreements or arrangement or allocation and absorption of contribution to any cost expenses incurred in connection with the benefit of the such facility provided or to be provided by the assessee. So it can be any type of the transaction. You don't have to be worried about all types of transaction. A person located in India shall include, sir, only a permanent resident of this country will be considered as a person located in NGA? No. Even a branch of any foreign country in that country will be considered as a person located. Okay, so look at this wider definition. Person located in notified jurisdictional area shall inclusive a person who is the resident of NGA by default, and a person not being an individual which is established in NGA. So any individual or any corporate in NGA will be considered as a plinja. Not only that, it would also include any permanent establishment of any other person located in NGA. So if you are having any branch or factory or anything like that, it will be considered as a person, a dedicated separate person located in notified jurisdictional area. This is another point you should remember, important point. Payment made to any financial institution, if it is not ordinary person, if it is a bank, okay. Now bank means at least at bank level we should share the information, isn't it? If it is done at institutional level, payment made to any financial institution located in NJA would not be allowed as a deduction unless the assessee authorizes the CBDT or any other income tax authority acting on its behalf to seek relevant information from the financial institution on behalf of the assessee. So if Indian assessee has taken the loan from the foreign bank which is located in NJA, this assessee should give in writing to CBDT or income tax authority that whatever information you want in respect of my transaction, you can directly take from this particular bank, and this bank shall not deny, because I am authorizing you, I am giving you authority to seek my information. No deduction, this is another effect. No deduction, highlight this word, no deduction in respect of any other expenditure or allowance including depreciation arising on a transaction with a person located in NJA would be allowed unless the assessee maintains the relevant document and furnishes the information prescribed. Any sum credit or received from person. So what is the nature of this receipt? We don't know. By default it will be considered as the income. Okay. Any sum credited or received from a person located in NGA to be deemed to be income. It is the deemed income of the recipient assessee if it does not explain to the satisfactory the source of such money in the hands of such person or in the hands of the beneficial owner if such person is not a beneficial owner. So by default it will be income. If you want to prove it otherwise, you have to give all the possible documents, and if you give the document, then matter is solved. Okay, because ultimately we were not able to get the information. If you get the information, then we will consider something else. Without your information, we will deem this as a income. The rate of TDS, again important aspect. The rate of TDS in respect of the payment made to the person located in NGA on which the tax is deductible at source will be the higher of following. First, rate specified in the relevant provision of the Income Tax Act, that is rate in force. Second, rate in force. So this is the TDS rate, this is the applicable rate, and minimum 30%. So if rate in force is 40%, then you have to deduct the TDS at 40%. It cannot be less than 30%. Okay. One example, sir, a theoretical question can be created, though it is not practical in the world as of now, but theoretically they can ask the question like this. A limited Indian company provides a technical services to the company located in XYZ INC. So A limited is providing service, okay, located in NGA for a consideration of 40 lakh in October. It charges 42 lakh for the similar services rendered to PQR INC which is not located in NJA. So for person located in notified jurisdictional area, they are charging 40 lakh, which is less than the arm's length price of 42 lakh. Obviously, India is losing 2 lakh rupees revenue here. PQR is not associate enterprises of A Limited. That means we have to follow the CUP method. This is a comparable uncontrolled price. Discuss the tax implication under 92A. Read with provision of section 92C in respect of the above transaction of a technical services provided by A Limited to XYZ INC. XYZ INC is located in notified jurisdictional area. The transaction of provision of technical services by Indian company A Limited would be deemed to be an international transaction, and XYZ INC and A Limited would be deemed to be associate enterprises. So deemed to be international transaction plus deemed to be associate enterprise is equal to ALP. This has to be applied. Therefore, the provision of transfer pricing would be attracted in this case. The price of 42 lakh charge for the similar services from PQR INC being independent entity located in notified jurisdictional country can be taken into consideration for determining the arm's length price under the comparable uncontrolled price method. Since ALP is more than the transfer price, the ALP of 42 lakh would be considered as the income arising on international transaction. It may be noted that benefit of the permissible variation, that 3% variation benefit is not available to this transaction. This is also very important para. It may be noted that the benefit of permissible variation between arm's length price and transfer price is not available in respect of the transaction entered into with NJA. Next question. X Limited, Mr. X, a non-resident individual, is due to receive interest of 5 lakh during March 2021 from the Notified Infrastructure Debt Fund eligible for exemption under 1047. Now, whenever a non-resident is investing in Indian infra bonds, with logic at least you should say that he should be charged less possible interest. Ordinarily, we charge only 5% rate of tax. The rate of tax under 115A that we will discuss in NR taxation is only 5%. Why? Because the non-resident is investing in Indian infrastructure bond. Obviously, we have to provide them a concessional tax rate, and this is the most concessional tax rate that Government of India can provide, plus applicable surcharge and applicable cess will be there, but at least the tax rate is nominal, only 5%. But will you give this 5% concessional tax rate to Mr. X, who is the non-resident? So for TDS purpose, we will not give this particular rate. TDS will be deducted at a higher rate, then the final assessment may happen and this person can come, file the return, justify the transaction, and he can take the refund. But by default, when this Indian infrastructure company make the payment, they will deduct the TDS at minimum 30%, isn't it? He incur expenditure of 10,000 for earning such income. No, that expenditure is not available as a deduction. Only gross amount of interest is taxable. Assuming that Mr. X is the resident of non-jurisdictional area, discuss the implication under 94A, 115A and 114 LB. These two sections you will learn in NR taxation next chapter. But right now let us assume you know the TDS tax rate 5% and TDS rate is also 5%. The interest income received by X, a non-resident from the Notified Infrastructure Debt Fund, would be subject to the concessional rate of 5% under section 115A on the gross amount. Because it is so concessional, we will not give you any deduction. Therefore, the tax liability of X in respect of such income would be only 26,000, being a 5% of 5 lakh plus health and education cess of 4%. Under section 194 LB, the deduction will happen at the same amount, 5% plus cess. So 26,000 will be deducted and net amount will be paid to the non-resident if non-resident belong to ordinary country. In our case, a non-resident belongs to notified jurisdictional area. The TDS will be minimum of 30% plus cess, therefore, and not 5% specified under 194 LB. This on account of the provision of section 94A subsection 5, which overrides, notwithstanding anything contained in any other provision of the Act, where a person located in non-jurisdictional area, notified jurisdictional area, is entitled to receive any sum or income or amount on which tax is deductible under chapter 17B. The tax shall be deducted at highest of the following: rate in force, rate specified in the TDS provisions, and 30%. Mr. X can, however, claim the refund of the excess tax deducted along with the interest. Please understand, by filing the ROI, and by providing the information and justification to Government of India. Thank you.